What is going on, everybody? It's Zach Michael here, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to make a bell melody from scratch. So if you guys do enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, check out elizabethrecords.net, which is actually going to have these Omnisphere sounds that I'm going to be using. These are just some bell presets I've made. We're just going to click through until we find like a good starting sound. We'll start with this one here, Catfish. We might end up layering it, changing it, etc. And today's sample we're going to make in G major. And I want to make something very like up-tempo, very melodic. So we're going to start at like 167 BPM. Just build some basic chords. Like that. But then this last chord we're going to pitch up 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As you'll see, everything stays in key when you pitch it at 5. So we don't really have to do anything to the chord for it to be in key. So that's going to be like our basic progression. And we're going to randomize the velocities. And I'm going to find a different bell, just because I want something a little bit more ambient. The right preset is pretty important, so it's worthwhile to go through all these until we find like the perfect one. Like that one. Another thing about this preset in particular, like you can kind of hear there's sort of like this like gliding backgroundy sort of sound in it, which I like. It just adds some character, makes it a bit more unique. And honestly just adds something to the sample, and it doesn't take up too much space, because it's very easy to put too much in your samples and there's not room for drums, and then there's not room for the artist, etc. So now we have another bell here, which we're just gonna take. We're gonna duplicate the chords, but we're not really gonna be keeping the chords here. This is kind of just so we can create some top line. Something like this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to 6th note, because I want there to be like a little glide. So that's what this is. So now what I'm going to do is just remove these. That 6th glide is actually wrong. It's only supposed to be 1 note there, so it's just very quick. Like, it's a very quick little glide. Like that. Now, I like to usually put the glides in my samples on notes that touch in the scale, but you don't always need to do that, so it does really depend. Just like that, we kind of have like a little top line. Next thing I want to add is a pad. I actually layer pads under a lot of different sounds in my samples, and it's a way to kind of give some sounds more uniqueness, more texture, and also just fill in certain frequencies. I do it a lot of times under like pianos and underneath different bells and stuff, and I just turn them down like very much in the background, and then I just, you know, stretch these out so that way they hold longer. And a lot of times the pads don't really be touching the velocity. It's just very much in the background, but it fills up space nicely. And with this top line, kind of want to do a little more. That sounding pretty solid. Next I'm going to open up Electro X just to use something other than Omnisphere. You obviously don't need to use any one particular plugin to make samples. And we're going to try to find like another bell. Very like, what we're going to do is just do something like this. That'll just be like a little thing to kind of like change it up. Let's get started in the mix. Gain sound, don't want to do too much. I want to cut some of the lows. Kind of boost this frequency a little bit. I'm not going to throw any like reverbs or anything like that. Honestly, it sounds pretty good by itself. This sound here, on the other hand, definitely needs some reverb. I'm just gonna kind of play around until I get settings I'm happy with. And don't really need to EQ it much. Pad, I want to bring out some of the lows. I'm just gonna kind of boost the lows. This sound here is just gonna be like very much in the background. I'm gonna make it almost more wet than dry with the reverb. And that's a sound that you won't really notice too much, but you'll feel it when it's there. Because like it's just gonna be one of those things that you notice. And what I'm gonna do is, since we put the EQ on it, not the EQ, the reverb, I want to make sure that like when I render all these out, it stays. So I'm just gonna take the first half and just cut it over like that. Should be fine because it just repeats the same thing. And yeah, it's just gonna be one of those sounds that like you won't really notice, but like when you'll hear it in the arrangement and such. So let's just get started on the actual mix of the arrangement here. I kind of already mixed it, so now we just arrange. So I just arrange it in a way where there's every single section together and by itself with all the stems at the end. And honestly, just like that, that's pretty good. We have a nice up-tempo bell melody from scratch, very ambient, very melodic. If you guys enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and check out those records on it. Thanks for watching. Head on over to elizabethrecords.net if you'd like to support me. You can purchase VST expansion banks, drum kits, loop kits, and MIDI kits that'll level up your production there.